day, fellow gardeners. Welcome to Mr. Compost, Gardening with Mr. Compost. Shit. Should we keep going or can we stop this thing with a bullet? I forgot the name. You got to start all the way over with it?
That's alright, hang on now.
Good day, fellow gardeners, and welcome to Gardening with Mr. Compost. I'm Mr. Compost, and over the next few weeks we'll be going through the vast, wonderful world of gardening. I'll teach you some of the whys and some of the why-nots, and we'll just go through this thing together, learning some of the things you should do and some of the things you shouldn't do. Today's tips will be on pests and problems in the garden and how to deal with them. And also, a little later on in the program, we're going to have a special project that we'll all participate in, and over the weeks you can see how it'll evolve. Also, one of the things you need to remember when you're laying out your garden is to keep the rows good and straight. Now, behind me is an example of a well-planned garden, but that's just one of the few things we'll be discussing. But right now, let's take a little trip into Mr. Compost garden. Just come along with me. Hello, fellow gardeners, and here I am in my garden. And one of the problems I was telling you about was dandelions, weeds. Of course, you got to remember that one man's weeds is another man's wonder, but in my case, dandelions. And them's dandelions. And the reason they get that way, dandelions get that way, I got the problem with manure. Got rat problems is what I got. I mean, I'm talking about rats. Give you an idea, let me show you. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. Here, there's some rat drop. You know what that is? That's a rat drop-in. That's the size of these critters out here. When I first found one of these, I thought it was a meatloaf. I cooked it up, put it in the microwave, cooked that sucker, tasted like shit. Wasn't no goddamn meatloaf. Them suckers all over, bunch of them over there, cracks are all over the place. Ever since them rat droppings started showing up, dandelions, weeds, everything goes to hell. So that's a problem we got to work on together, but we'll get to that. Now another problem, another pest is kids. This little shit next door named Johnny, man, balls in the garden, frisbees in the garden, knock my tomatoes off. That's another problem we got to work on. We'll get to that. But overall, garden is what you make it, so you just got to work on it. Remember though, weeds is a problem all the time. But we'll go over to the table here, and I'll get on our special project, and we'll work on that one together. Meet me over there. Be right there. Hello, friends. Well, we're back to Mr. Compost gardening table. One of the things that every good gardener should have is a table to lay all the things out on you need. It helps the world. Well, one thing, you know, I was talking about those rats. What a damn problem. You wouldn't believe, one day I sent my little girl out there to get some tomatoes. Going to make a salad and sent her out. She came back in and she was covered all over her head, had fleas. You believe that? Had fleas all over her head. That's the size of them. I just saved one. I put this sucker out in the sun and bleached him. I was thinking about trying to make some kind of jewelry or something out of him, but the poor kid hadn't made the same sense, man. It had fleas that size all over his head, and I got really ticked off that rats. Took off the garden, found him, hit him upside the head with a potato fork, knocked all of his teeth out, but he's still out there. I can still hear him, but we'll have to work on that one. Like I say, rats are problems. What we're going to do here, we got a little project, and it's going to be sort of a group participation thing. Over the coming weeks, we're going to grow a little something. If you ever thought about it, one of the worst things about a garden and salad is having to go out and pick all these individual things. You know, maybe one will get ripe before the other one will, or one will get too rotten, and you just never can get them quite together. So what we're going to try to develop is a salad plant. One plant that'll be comprehensive. It'll have everything in there that you need. We got radishes, we got broccoli, got lettuce, we got another string of lettuce, we got beans, tomatoes, got the cucumbers and carrots, another sprout of beans, got the bacon bits, and we're even going to put some croutons in this thing. For once this plant's developed, all you got to do is go out and pick one salad plant and you got the whole salad in itself. Now what I've done, I put some things in the blender here already just to get it started for us. But I got a couple of things here I want to put in extra just to get a little special measure. I met this Puerto Rican one time down there in Market Street down in San Francisco, and he gave me some peppers here, and he told me these peppers are something else, and if you put them in there, it'll add a little zest, a little south of the border fiesta type to your salad. So we're going to put a few of those in there, and I ought to get a few more, just for good measure. Okay, all my stuff's falling over. Okay, I put my lid back on, and we'll whip this sucker up, little whip, little chop, little mix. Take this sucker all the way up and liquefy. Shake it around a bit. Turn, okay. Then we'll take these suckers, what we're going to do, let that set a minute. We'll get all this out of here. These bacon bits. Smooth this thing out. And we'll take these seeds that we just mixed up and we'll sprinkle them. Just right over our little compost pile here. Mix them in there real good. Okay, and then now, because this being what it is, we're going to make a tossed, we want to mix salad out of this sucker. We'll just mix this sucker up here a little bit, get it tossed up real good. That's the way you want to mix green salad, you want it tossed up. We'll sprinkle her out there. Tossed green salad here, it's going to taste mighty good. Over here now I got a mixture, a special mixture here of vinegar and oil. This is a dressing, and what you do when you pour this thing, when we water this thing, it's more than just water. This mixture, when these things grow up, you won't even have to put any Thousand Island or anything on them unless you want a special, but we'll talk about that later on. Put a little of this stuff on here, let's get them started. And then next week, when we come back, we'll see how these things are doing. This will be a little project. We'll follow this all along. So, till then, I'll see you next week. Don't forget, damn them dandelions. See you later, folks. Good day, folks. Welcome back to Gardening with Mr. Compost. Now this week, we're going to talk about a problem that some people have, some don't. It depends. Now, sometimes you grow vegetables and you get a little bit more than you need. You never know quite what to do with it. So I gave some thought to coming up with a vegetable. The idea is that everything big is not necessarily better. Why not go the other direction? You take, for instance, midgets. Can you imagine what kind of problem a midget has with cucumbers or carrots? Look at these, for instance, here. Got carrots, got beef steak tomatoes. You ever seen a beef steak tomato? Them suckers are big. And they got cucumbers. Okay, you think about people on diets, or you think about midgets. Them can pose some real problems for those kind of people. Also, it created a problem for me because of this damn rat I got out here. I got to figuring if I could grow something small enough not to get his attention, I wouldn't have a rat problem. And at the same time, I got to thinking, if I can grow something small enough, it'll help them people on diets and big heavy duties trying to lose some weight. Also, it'll help the midgets. All the little people, the dwarves. I don't mean nothing against them. I like them. They're my best friends, the midgets. But I also got to thinking, well, why not come up with a hybrid midget plant seeds? And that's what it did. So that's what today is going to be all about. Let me show you here what I got. Down here, put my fork out of the way. Down here first, we got the cucumbers. Let me pick you a cucumber. It took some research, but there is a cucumber. That sucker is full grown, ready to eat, table ready. Midget size, perfect. Tomato, beef steak tomato. Most of those you think you see in a grocery store, pound, 2 pounds a piece. Not Mr. Compost. Show you what it did. Look at that. Whoop, drop it, sucker. Look at that. Beautiful midget tomatoes. Them suckers every bit as tasty as a beef steak, but look how big they are. Dieters, piece of cake. Carrots. Take carrots, look at them. Let me show you what I did here. I picked this sucker fresh for you. Look at that. Them are carrots. Dieter's wonder right there. Midgets will love them. So what we're going to do today is go over and put a little time in on what to do with these things. And also, remember now, last week we had the special project going about the salad plant. We'll do a little update on that and see how we're progressing. So I'll meet you back over at the Mr. Compost table. Meet you there. Hello folks. Well, here we are back at Mr. Compost table. We'll carry through a little longer here now on these dwarf midget, I lost my tomato, these midget vegetables. And you'll see here that I've got just what we picked out fresh in the garden just a few minutes ago. We got the cucumber here. We'll slice that thing up, take your knife, slice, quick little slices. That thing slices just as nice, taste, whoa, look at this. I'm talking about, that sucker tastes good. Woo! Got this tomato, this is a beefsteak tomato. Slice this little critter up. A minute, just take a second. I'm not used to just slice that critter up. Oh, it looks good there. And got the carrot. Clean up the carrot, get a little bit of the dust. This dude is fresh, man, right out of the garden. Take those tops off, slice it up there. Couldn't beat that. Now, that ought to please anybody's palate. But if you're trying to lose weight and you got a problem because you're conditioned, right? You've been eating these big giant beef steaks, you've been eating these giant cucumbers for many years. It's hard to break down to something this size. Mr. Compost has come up with a solution. Got a special little gadget here. We send off these for $3.98. We got a whole stack of them back here. Hold that dude up, look at the size. If that doesn't look like, you see that folks? If that doesn't look like a beefsteak tomato, you just won't believe it. So what you do is when you're eating your food, of course, you just use a magnifying glass, and pretty soon you're full before you know it. These are the best little invention I've come up with in a long time, and these ought to do real well. That was $4.98. Send that direct to Mr. Compost, P.O. Box 1410, Del Paso Heights. We'll send those right out to you. Another thing, let me show you here while we're on the subject of these miniature veggies. Can you imagine what kind of distress it creates for little people, midgets, stuff during the Halloween? I've got these are midget pumpkins. These suckers are dandies and just the right size. You can imagine now if your hand is small, what it's like to have to grasp a full-grown pumpkin, 30, 40-pound pumpkin. There ain't no way you can do it. So I grew these, and what you can do, look at this pumpkin. Check him out. Look at that. Happy face. Oh, nice. What we can do for you now, you take these little pumpkins, and I can sell you these seeds, make a special deal on them, grow them hybrid seeds. Take the pumpkin, take your knife. Just cut a little hole right in the top of it. Doesn't take no time at all. Even anybody can do it. Cut this sucker out. Get in, clean the insides of it out a little bit. Won't take but a minute to do that. There's not that many seeds in there. You punch a cup. Get a couple eyes in here. Well, it's easier if you're not doing this on camera. It makes a difference. So what I did too with this idea in mind, come up with another little idea. How to carve a midget pumpkin by Mr. Compost. And if you send in along with the packets and the magnifying glass, if you will throw one of these in, $10.98 for how to carve a midget pumpkin. You get the magnifying glass, you get the pumpkin seeds, you get all the other miniature seeds we're looking for, all in one complete package for $13.95. Send that in to Mr. Compost, P.O. Box 1432, Del Paso Heights, California. One other thing too, now before we wrap up today's show, of course last week, you remember, we were doing real well with our Mr. Salad plant. We got him all blended up, and we planted him, and look at this. How he's coming along. Now, of course, remember now, we put on some of the special watering solution here. Hairy little critters just growing, looking so good. I tell you, ain't gonna be no time. We're gonna have us a whole chef's salad right here. It's gonna be something. So, just a little update. I'm sure as yours coming along the same way, if you did yours at home along with the instructions. Next week we'll come back and check on them a little further and see how they're doing. Until then, happy gardening, and don't forget, only good dead dandelion is a dead one. See you later. Hello, fellow gardeners. Welcome back to another edition of Gardening with Mr. Compost. Today we're going to learn about pruning trees and some of the do's and don'ts. I'm sure that you've all read a lot of articles. You've seen a lot of things in Sunset magazine and Good Housekeeping, all that about supposed to have a pruning clippers, supposed to have a pruning saw. You don't need this crap. You don't need that stuff to prune. All you need right here, Mr. Compost handy dandy pruning shears. These suckers are good for detail work when you go after stuff that you want to have a touch class to. Take for instance this tree. This is a badly in need of almond tree until I took my handy dandy clippers to it. And you can see the fine detail work. You can see the lush growth on this thing. The sucker's going to come out and look nice. It's going to be a good tree in no time. Along with all this, you get a little extra benefit. And again, you couldn't do it with the big ones, but you use these little small handy dandy Mr. Compost clippers. You can get some dandy toothpicks out of a tree like this. Fix you up good. But more important than pruning, I think probably we should get to the project we left off on last week of trying to grow the salad plant. That dude is coming along fine. I'm sure you're aware. Let's step over to the garden and show you what you mean. Right there. Hello folks. Well, as you can see, here we are now in Mr. Compost garden. Now what I want to show you is something's going to surprise you. Look at these little babies. These are our salad plants that we planted, remember, 2 weeks ago. We planted these things. Now between now and last week, of course you saw them when they were coming up and getting hairy. Well, I transplanted them out in the garden, and you wouldn't believe how these things have grown. Look at that. Just dandy. You ever seen anything? Those are going to be so good. They're just as happy they sit here and purr. You can hear them in the night time. But now we come to a point that we need to start getting concerned about their growth. And also you got to worry about some bugs, aphids, that sort of thing. That's a common pest, another problem in the garden. Some things you don't want to use, like this kind of stuff. Ortho. Did you eat something that said ortho? No way. That's bad news, that stuff. Look at this. Another stuff. Dexol root stimulator. I wouldn't feed that to somebody I didn't like, no less eat it myself. I mean, that's bad news. What you need to use is right here. Mr. Compost Miracle Grow and Wonder Spray. Now this is a specially formulated wonder spray that not only adds a zest of growth to these things, just makes them stand up and talk, but it also prevents any type of aphid problems, any spider mites, any white flies, anything like that might come along, no problem. So what we're going to do this week now, one, to show you visually how well this product works. And we incidentally, now we sell this here at Mr. Compost. Sell this stuff, it's $8.95 a can. Send it to P.O. Box 1342, Del Paso Heights. So we'll rush this right out to you. Special product. We're going to spray our little friends here with this just to help them along in their growth. So you can see they don't really need a lot of help, but they're doing good, but we'll just give them a little shot. So we're going to give them a little spot here to the old wonder spray. A little, gotta learn how to aim it, shake her up a little bit. Give that sucker a little shot. Whoa, they like that. I can hear it. Woo, I can hear them talking. They're gonna grow. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna let them do the thing until next week. Come back, we'll check them out. You folks can check yours at home. You rush right in now, pick up a can of this and spray yours. We'll both be able to watch the same results as we go along. I'll make this a little interesting. Don't forget, 1098, rush that right in, P.O. Box 1842, Del Paso Heights, Mr. Compost. See you then, and keep growing them veggies. Hello friends, welcome back to another edition of Gardening with Mr. Compost. As you can see, I'm out here in my garden starting off the program here today, and you may have come to notice that we got a little bit of a problem going with our salad plant. I don't know if you've experienced the same problem as I have, but in the past week those timid little plants that we last saw have gotten pretty aggressive. I don't quite know how to account for that. It must have been something in the not quite worked out in the Mr Compost wonder spray. I suspect it was the marigold extract. Marigolds, most everybody knows, are extremely aggressive plants, and we may have put a little bit more extract in there than we should have, and something went wrong, sort of metamorphized. But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you. We'll look along here and I'll show you what has happened. Hopefully you've not all had the same problem, but just kind of come along and I'll show you what I mean here. Oh, there's one. Okay, right here. The salad plant, as you can see down here, these suckers have gotten vicious. They've gotten really mean. I don't know how to account for it. They used to be timid. They used to be nice, docile animals. They could say the marigold plant might account for some of it. Let me show you what's happened here. Now, get this curve back. There, go. Take this eggplant. This was a normal, healthy eggplant. Look what that sucker's done to it. Took a bite out of it. Took a bite out of it. I don't know what's wrong. But you can tell, let me show you here. These used to be, I don't know what the hell those came from. I have no idea what those are all about. The eyes have gotten mean. This sucker is bad news, Jack. I mean, it's like Godzilla down here. What we got to do is try to figure out how the heck to get rid of him or to make him work for us. Like I said in the beginning of the program, one man's weeds is another man's wonder. We might have a wonder on our hands here. It's just a matter of having to step out of the forest and look at that sucker. So that's what we're going to do now. What I might caution you to do at the time being, though, is to kind of water your garden from a distance while these things are growing. It might not be a bad idea to put a sprayer on. I don't usually go for sprayers on hoses because it wets the leaves down, but till we get this figured out, it might not be a bad idea. And then we'll be back next week and see what we can work out. We'll let you know and keep gardening. Incidentally, if you happen to have a 38 or 45, anything like that in the house, it might not be a bad idea just to take it along. Never know. See you next week, and remember, keep a green thumb and watch where you step. See you later. Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to Mr. Compost Gardening. Last time I talked to you folks, we had a bit of a problem, or what seemed to be a problem on our hands, but that's been resolved. And I'm here to tell you that what we've come up with is a gardening sensation. These salad plants have turned out to be probably the best thing that has ever happened to gardening. It's just like I've been telling you all along, one man's weeds is another man's wonder. It just takes a little time, a little understanding. You look at all these little babies back here. These things, it's just, look at that, just purr, look at purr like a kitten. Just in these not quite reached maturity. But let me tell you what the wonder these things have done. You remember back 2 or 3, 4 weeks back, I was telling you about the problem you can have with pests, neighborhood pests particularly. Dogs, kids. I had a next door neighbor over here, Miss Johnson, had this damn Cocker Spaniel. He used to come over and dig the hell out of it. I'd no more get something planted than the dog would dig it up. I ain't had no trouble with that dog at all. These suckers love Cocker Spaniels. You wouldn't believe it. Another thing, you remember Jimmy, that little shrimp of a kid used to throw his frisbee and stuff over there in my corn, knock my tomatoes off, throw his ball, used to throw all this stuff in the garden. I ain't seen Jimmy in a while. Found his shoe the other day, or what was left of it. Salad plants. These dudes are going to make just a miracle of the whole gardening process. It's going to be a piece of cake. What you do is you line these things up. Now I got the hybrid seeds that I'm going to start producing. We'll sell these seeds about 42 a pack, run $14. Send $14 COD to P.O. Box 1432 Del Paso Heights. We'll rush you right out some of these little salad plants. Don't be afraid of this. As you can see now, this one right here. They get to this age, they're all cute on it. You can see them, they change. This one's in maturity here. Don't worry about the way they look. It's just a growing process. Line these along your border, put them up anywhere. Dogs, kids, No problem. These things will keep your garden free of any kind of pest you want to think about. This leads me to another idea that I got to thinking about, another project that I think we all ought to participate in. What I'll do, we'll walk back over to Mr. Mr. Compost's gardening bench, and we'll take a look at that. I'll meet you over there in just a minute. Okay, folks, as you can see, we're back to Mr. Compost's table. The little problem we had with the chef salad, the salad plant's got that worked out. Just shows you got to persevere sometimes. Some of the things you don't know work out will work out. What we're going to do now, though, for our next project next week, we're going to work on something a little bit more docile, eating than vegetables. Vegetables can be ornery critters. We've learned that. You know that. You never mean tomato plants, mean jalapeno peppers, but you never heard of a mean watermelon. Bananas, got a little cantaloupe and some nectarines. They're just as mild as can be. So we're going to work up a fruit salad plant. Put those in the blender, work on all those next week, but that's another project. Until then, remember, keep smiling, keep growing them veggies, and stay healthy. See you later. Mr. Compost saying, have a good day.